I tell people this when I lead groups all the time, but this all started from my deepest sufferings. And it's really beautiful to create something beautiful and helpful to others from your deepest wounds and deepest struggles. And so yeah, it all started with my own personal journey of unknowingly responding from my trauma that I wasn't aware of until I was 29. And yeah, just trying to achieve things for other people and trying to act outwardly and behave in ways that would allow me to feel loved and to feel enough. And doing that without a lot of tools that you talk about a lot, that you're really passionate about, led me down pretty quickly down a dark road towards isolation and mental struggle, depression, and suicidal thoughts, the whole gambit. And made my way out of that through vulnerable expression and telling people what I was going through, no matter how hard it was. And yeah, I quickly realized how I wasn't the only one, and especially men struggle a lot to speak up, and men often, like you say, kind of naturally gravitate, what did you say, towards
So
isolation.
it's common, and the natural tendency is to self isolate.
Self isolate,
If
yeah.
you've got things that you're engaged with that you're just not sure how to navigate, and you kind of pull back from the world a little bit, and especially if you've got suicidal ideations or just like struggles that you really don't know how to overcome in your own mind,
Mm.
isolation can be a very dangerous and dark place to be in. And self expression, like you mentioned, is a great way to just take a tiptoe step out of that and to realize that you can be in a safe place, like just being who you are, exactly as you are, exactly how you were made,
Mm.
and just allowing yourself to be you and not trying to live up to what other ideas society has put on you or role models in your life or parents. Um, Especially with the rise of social media and influencer land, like everyone's trying to be someone else these days, and it's literally not possible to be someone other than who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we look in and start to create and engage with that self awareness, recognizing our own patterns, the things that don't serve us, and just really coming to understand who we are and what makes us tick as an individual, then we can go share that with other people and like not be stuck in our own funk. You know what I mean? And so having the opportunity to be heard through our men's groups, through our co ed groups, and just realize that everyone else has those same struggles too, like coming to know themselves. And as you mentioned, it's usually like decades into life. Like we don't
Mm.
figure it all out when we're 18. And Gary Vee says it all the time. Like, if you're in your 30s, like now's the time to really buckle down and go find, if you don't already know, what is for you. And people think that they've missed the opportunity if they don't feel like they have it figured out by 25, and it just couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, I definitely did feel like a failure being 29 and having spent the last decade and a half pursuing these things that society told me to pursue, and then I was like, oh, I completely fucked up. And but yeah, you mentioned the tiptoe steps out of that self isolation, and now that I think about it, community is what I had. I was living in Hawaii at the time, and had a really good network of open, loving, supportive people to hold me and
Yeah.
to hear me, and that made all the difference. So yeah, that's kind of how Speak Your Mind was born. Was just out of this idea of like, you know, I've struggled, and I see a lot of other men are also struggling, and like, how can I help?
Yeah.
How can we help? And I've been really open and honest about the fact that I can't do that alone. And I don't know how, I wouldn't know how to do it. Like, I'm not going to try and pretend like I have the solution. So that's been the best part is meeting and collaborating with people like you know, like really amazing people connected to the heart, to spirit, and um, just building this thing together. So that's kind of a little bit about the origin story.
Mm.
And yeah, I want to hear more about your experience. So we're about 18 months old, and we just started getting clear on who we are and how we can actually show up and make a difference. And through a lot of through some research and a lot of contemplation, we landed on these outdoor empowerment groups, which have a focus on something other than talking, you know, which helps for men, and has a focus on getting outside and hiking or rock climbing or paddleboarding or whatever. And then also, like, let's circle up and chat afterwards.
Yeah.
So we started that in Phoenix, and the first group that I started was in Phoenix around rock climbing, and you joined like right away, actually.
I think I was there for the first meetup, actually. Yeah.
No way. Yeah, there were like 6 or 7 people for the first one. I was really surprised
Yeah.
that you were one of the first ones. So tell me about, I know you have kind of a serendipitous start with us.
So it was just really straightforward. You posted on a Phoenix rock climbing group on Facebook, and I saw the post, and literally it was starting in 30 minutes, 30 minutes from where I was. I had my climbing gear in the van, and it's just like, this is where I'm meant to be, right? Like mental health awareness for men and rock climbing. Man, I haven't rock climbed in like 3 years. Like, this is just where I'm supposed to be. And I went and I showed up, and here I am, 7, 8, 9 months later, and you're one of my best friends. Like, we've become like brothers from my perspective, and I really appreciate you. And this work is, honestly, it's drawing the best version of me forth, and I've enjoyed the opportunity to engage with other men and just kind of share my ups and downs and my mountains and my valleys, and like, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on education and pursuing understanding of this stuff just for my own life. And it's not about the money, but like, one small tool that makes a difference for someone, especially if they're in that darkness and they're feeling isolated. Like, just one right tool can make all the difference between them being here today and not.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so anything that I can do to share what's been helpful for me, having been through some of that stuff that you've mentioned, like, I'm just glad to be able to show up and be a part of the organization. You know what I mean?
Beautiful.
And then you encourage my writing gift, and I love to write. So anything I can do to help is my pleasure, truly.
I'm
Yeah.
happy you're here, man.
And we've got people like, one gentleman that I spoke to early on. I think it was like our second or third monthly meetup. Um, like, he launched his own business. Like, about a month later or so, he was out of his day job, and now he has more time and flexibility to spend with his family and his two young kids. And it's just like, if I hadn't been here, he may have never started that business on his own. Right? Just
Mm-hmm.
that one simple word of encouragement from someone else who's already been kind of down that entrepreneurial path. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And our groups are like, we get a lot of diversity sometimes. So older men, younger men, guys that are still in college pursuing their path and figuring themselves out. And it's just really nice to be able to come into, um, an open, welcoming space, and to hear some perspective from people who've had different experiences, different industries, and just see where that takes you, and realize that you're not alone in this journey of life. Right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm so happy you're here. Honestly, that's what I mean when I say like the best part of this this journey for me has been connection,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like when we connect with intention towards something bigger than ourselves, it's so beautiful what happens, and like the deep feeling of connection and belonging and love. Like, you know, I love you. Like, I have so much love for you, and I've no hesitation to express that. I've really enjoyed our connection, and it's been one of the most meaningful things for me to work on this project with people like you. You know, it's amazing. That's like the best part of my life.
Appreciate you. I love you too, man.
Yeah. And that's also something that like we feel in the groups, especially with the co-ed
Yeah.
I've seen since we started doing that. It's like when we set intention of like, hey, let's, like, I know everyone wants to date and connect and sex is great, but like let's all raise our gaze a little bit, our vibrational gaze, and also deepen it to the soul level. And when you do that, it's incredible the connections that come about. Like it's pure love.
Yeah.
And I get to feel that in our co-ed outings. Like every time I see people, you know, like can still be a little bit closed at first, but it so quickly when you set these intentions of like why are we here,
Yeah.
to see each other and to connect deeper on the heart and soul level, then like it just so quickly manifests into deep, loving, supportive connection. And that's what we all really want, you know. So
Yeah.
many of us are pursuing surface level endeavors, you know, and especially of the flesh, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what we all really crave is heart and soul level and spiritual connection,
Yeah.
you know, and that's what I'm really proud that we do that. We, you know, we do that well. We cultivate that for people, and people need it and they want it. And we're also providing a service, you know, like we talked about yesterday, where, and what I tell, you know, new organizations that we connect with is like we're here to fill that gap that you're very aware of like how many people are suffering and then how much formal professional therapy is available.
Yeah.
There's a massive gap there, and a lot of men especially struggle to help themselves because of the path of self-isolation, because of stigmas. You know, there's a lot there for men that prevent them from helping themselves, and it's really nice to be able to provide a service to the world that fills that gap.
So I think there's a huge hole between the intention and the actual impact of like medical mental health services. Not everyone has a mental illness, but mental health tools can be like helpful for everyone.
You're kind of referencing the difference between like deeply struggling and needing mental health tools versus just trying to elevate yourself and live a happy, fulfilling
Yeah, let's
life.
address that. So there's really two communities that we serve, right? We've got people who are specifically looking for support and they're experiencing mental health symptoms. And as you said, like just having a community around you who's been there before, been through that space, and found the light on the other side. And just one person can make a huge difference in that individual's life when they're on that journey or in the middle of that journey, right? And the other end of the spectrum is people who just want to kind of get to the next level. And having the ability to meet with men at all different walks of life who've been through some experiences and just share and see that, like, how do I say it? Like, the modern man is busy between work and their kids and their family. And there's like not a lot of safe places to just share their experience. And sometimes your wife's not the best person to be open and transparent about difficulties that you're going through as a man, because that's your space to lead and hold space for the family and help her feel and experience security. So if you're in an experience of uncertainty as a man, your partner is not necessarily always the best person to take that uncertainty to. You want to go out, speak with brothers, speak with other leaders, and understand what's an effective tool or an effective way through what you're experiencing, that temporary setback, that temporary challenge, and then do it. And then go share what you're committed to with your partner, right? From a place of strength and courage and respect for the relationship, that it's your role to be a provider. And so many men have lost that in today's age, and we don't know how to communicate in a way that's effective, standing as no, like, my family is safe, that we get to have what we need, that we get to have our essentials, and that I'm declaring that nothing's going to come in the way of that. Like, this is my family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we get confused a lot in today's mixed messages on what masculinity means, and it's really helpful to have strong role models that can help pick apart that experience and be like, what are you really committed to as a man? Not that I'm going to tell you what it is, but like, what is important to you from where you stand and what you're committed to, and what are you creating in your family life?
Yeah.
Like with intentionality. And sometimes mental health counseling is helpful for that. And sometimes like it's really not the person that you need at 2 a.m. Like you just need to call your brother and be like, I'm going through this and I don't know what to do.
Hmm.
And just have someone hear you and be able to speak your mind, literally,
Yeah.
right?
I'll
And
never
that's what we're here for.
I'll never forget the time you called me and I answered and you were like, "Can I lean on you for a little bit?"
Mm-hmm.
You're like, "Can I lean on you for a second?" And I was like, "Yeah, man."
Yeah.
And that's what yeah, we've had a lot of men show up and without like sharing, any specific names or details, like we've had a lot of men in this group fresh off of divorce or
Mm-hmm.
separation with with multiple kids from multiple, marriages. Like we've had people transitioning out of work, just getting older, like all the normal human things that are
Right.
so normal, but like me, I felt like a failure when I was going through my divorce and separation and trying to figure out my life. So just us providing that space for men, especially when it's so hard for them to give it to
Yep.
themselves, is essential. And then being seen in that is, to me, all the support
Yep.
that's an empowerment that's needed just to be seen, and like I was telling you about the more intensive masculine workshops I've been a part of, where I can just share my most raw self, the thing that I'm least, or the things that I'm least proud of, to another man in the community, especially an elder, that might be similar to a father figure.
Yep.
Share all my shit, and they look at me and they say, it's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with any of that. And we're all so full of shame and fear that we're living life the wrong way when we're all so normal. And that's what bringing people together in these groups does. It's like, oh, there's always a common theme of like, oh yeah, me too.
So I'm hearing you talk about something that's common to all men, all humans, and it's the human survival mindset. And like doubt, fear, shame, guilt, obviously those are not positive, empowering emotions, but we all experience them.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Jeff Spencer has an absolutely amazing talk that he gives through the Guardian Academy on what he calls the champion's mind. And it's really about embracing the supernatural gifts that are available to us as men, as humans, and stepping above and beyond the human mentality that's just stuck in survival, so
Mm.
that we can actually thrive and share whatever our gifts are with the people around us. And it comes back to what you were talking about with vision and not being able to do this alone. Like each individual is given a divine purpose, divine gifts, divine vision, whatever word you want to use for it. Like we're here to create something. And the collective vision is so much bigger than anything that the one person could achieve. So when we come together, like we're meant to come together and create
Mm.
together. Like we literally can't do it alone. These things are bigger than us. That's the whole point,
Yeah.
right? Like sometimes when you get a group like this together that's creating and collaborating and giving their best gifts, like 1 plus 1 is 3. And the math doesn't check. That's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get more out of it. It's an asymmetric bet, right? You put 1 in, you get 10 out. One of the things we do really well is we have a loose structure that sets up a space. And like there's 2 separate parts of each of our group events. There's movement in nature, and then our circle up and share and our engaging in authentic conversation. And like the element of the unknown, the element of risk, whether we're hiking, rock climbing, paddleboarding, like there's always some element of unknown in that. And as humans that are addicted to survival, like the unknown represents risk to us. So like going out in the middle of nowhere, bears, lions, tigers, oh my, like we don't know what's around the next corner, and we really don't know what's around the next corner in life. So to get out and move and enjoy nature, like it just opens up something inside of us that when we come and sit down and it's time for the conversation, like everyone's showing up as them. Like there's no pretenses. Like it's just a dude in nature. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like just talking like brothers, and it's real and it's authentic and it works. And I don't know. Well, I know where the magic sauce came from. Let's just give credit, but like it's beautiful,
Yeah.
and it's something that with repeat exposure. That's why we do a weekly event with every of our groups, and then we do one epic trip every month for each group, but like that weekly exposure, coming to see the same guys doing the same thing, that element of routine and the organic brotherhood and friendships that develop out of coming and talking to the same guys over and over again, like it's an intentional framework and it works so well. So really it's just that, it's being safe to be who I am,
Mm-hmm.
speak my mind, share my personal expression, explore what's working, what's not working, and then just see what's next, and take away whatever micro lesson, whether it's a small one or a big one, whatever my learning is for that moment, and go apply it in my life, and then come back the next week and continue the conversation. Because it's not like I forgot about what Joe said. Like he's going through something, he's doing this, he's trying to accomplish this, and it just creates a level of accountability that doesn't really exist elsewhere. You know what I mean? And a freedom to explore and express and actually create something. And I'm really looking forward to having like a community chat platform where we can connect people from different groups and just see where that goes. So what we don't realize is, there might be 3, 5, 9 people at this meetup, but like there's how many other meetups that are meeting every week. And if we can get everyone on the same like chat group or the same place where we can all interact, like I'm just really looking forward to that next level of connection between our entire group of participants. So it's coming,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Working
We
on it.
know it's coming.
Discord coming soon.
Yep.
Tell me, what would you tell anyone, but specifically men in their 20s or 30s or 40s, who are kind of on the fence or hesitant, kind of like, oh yeah, I see they're doing these groups and it looks fun, but also it's about mental health. Like they're just a little bit not they're having trouble getting over that hurdle to come join us. What would you tell them?
So I'm going to repeat something I said earlier. Not everyone has a mental illness, and mental health tools are still helpful for everyone. So yes, there's some stigmas. Like not every man is just like super excited to go to therapy, especially if the suggestion comes from his wife. But like we're not therapists, right? We're just guys having a conversation and sharing what we've really been through, and being real.
Yeah.
And sometimes that alone is scary. But like if you just gift yourself the permission to step out and share what you're really experiencing, like shining light on those things that we think we can keep hidden, that we think we can just handle, that we can just push down and hide, like shining a little bit of light on those things that we're repressing can really open up a lot. And I would just give yourself permission to come have a conversation and see where it takes you. If you don't like it, don't come back. If you do like it and it's valuable for you, just keep showing up, because you'll be surprised where it takes you. Like we said, we've got people starting businesses, leaving their day job, having more freedom, and just the courage to engage life with authenticity. One of my business mentors, his name is Nick Peterson, and his big thing is that there is a gap in the marketplace where modern society is not trained to actually know how to accomplish what they want. So there's things you want for yourself, there's things you want for your family, for your life, and like college doesn't prepare us to engage reality and actually create a sustainable result. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but like my mentors have something doing right. Like they're in a good position. You know what I mean? Like their businesses are flowing, their communities are thriving. There's something to learn every day. And if you just show up and allow yourself to be authentic, you'll walk away with something, and it'll lead you to the next thing. So if you plant your flag and say I want 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for my life, go get it. and we'll walk with you every step of the way until you get there. And I don't know a lot of other places that like you get that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And our intention is really to bring this to every local community across the US. I know you kind of try and rein me in a little bit every now and then, but like I grew up in a town with 1,200 people. So like I want to see a Speak Your Mind men's group in every town with 1,000 people or more. And our first target is to just start with cities that have 100,000 population or higher, just because it's an easier target. And once we have, I think it's about 300 towns across the US, once we have those cities established, like we can market and attract people to those events, especially our monthly outings, and bring people in from the suburbs. And that's how we'll spread,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't engage with this type of space, this type of community, this type of passion and excitement, and then not want to take it back to your hometown. You know what I mean? So like I'm just so excited, and I see how that all flows together. And one step at a time, one city at a time, we're going to grow this thing and invite participation at the local community level, because that's where mental health tools and effective resources need to be available at. And they're just not. There's too many barriers to getting in front of a licensed clinical psychologist, and it can be too expensive. There's too many social stigmas, and it's just taking effective tools directly to the people at the community level in a way that's accessible to everyone. I'm so committed to that, and I'm enjoying the journey, and it's working. That's the best part. It's working.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the last month or two, we've almost doubled our email list. Is that correct? Like,
Yeah, we've gone from 250 to 750 in about 4 to 6 weeks.
yeah. And that's just the email list. That's not every single person that's interacted with us, but it's the people who've committed to staying around. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm just really excited to see where this goes, and to start encouraging and seeking feedback from our participants, and seeing what's working for them and what's not, and creating some structure around ways to get feedback from our participants. And this is obviously part of that. Just sitting
Mm-hmm.
here chatting, sharing what's going on, what's working, and asking for direct feedback. There's a newsletter coming.
Hmm. All the newsletters, all the feedback.
Yep.
I mean, that's how we've grown so far. Like, tell me how this feels.
Yep.
Tell me what you need, how this feels, and how we can do a better job of serving
Right.
you, you know? So yeah, you kind of started to go into vision, but I want to ask, just to confirm, you've made friends with in joining groups with Speak Your Mind.
Yes.
You feel more connected to community.
Yes.
What else?
I feel more connected to myself.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, movement is
Beautiful.
grounding. It absolutely is, and I hadn't climbed in like 3 or 4 years, and I've mentioned it a couple of times, like that element of the unknown, the element of risk. Rock climbing for me is a beautiful analogy to life in general. There's always another level. There's always something harder, and there's always someone better than you. And the only useful comparison is yourself to yourself. So get on the rope and climb, right? And you'll get stronger as you go and as you engage. And I just really enjoy that. It's grounding. It's good for mental health. Like you're standing on a cliff, tens of or hundreds of feet above, like far enough off the ground that you're going to get hurt if you fall. You know what I mean? Like there's an element of risk in all of that, and understanding how the tools work. And it really applies to business and life. Like, what's the real effective tool? What's the shortest path to what I want? And how do I actually go about creating what I want in my life? So, all of this has just been an authentic expression of me, and I appreciate that you welcome all of my crazy
Mm-hmm.
and the authentic expression of me, right? And
Yeah.
I can't say that about a lot of people in my life. Like definitely a quality over quantity person, and I keep people really, really close. And I just appreciate your trust and the walking step by step together. And that's what I would say that we offer to our community. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
you will find organic brotherhood, like it or not, because it's just something that comes from this space. And I think it's missing in this world. It is
Yeah.
absolutely missing. the bond between brothers who aren't blood, and the willingness to just create together and walk together and realize that we're not alone. And too many men are living alone these days. Like, it's lone wolves, and it's not healthy. It's
Mm.
not it's not the most productive use of their energy and efforts, and it just you end up suppressing and isolating. And I've been there and I've done that, and it just doesn't work. Right? It's not a sustainable approach. And to be able to offer an alternative where you can come and visit with guys on similar paths and learn from each other and build together. I mean, that's really what I see this becoming, like a nationwide community that empowers our men. And if we can change the dynamic of the family unit and make strong men, like, the family unit will follow, right? Like, it's way easier to make strong kids than it is to fix broken men.
Mm.
And so by empowering the man, we create stronger households, and then it trickles down into, strong kids.
Yeah,
And that's just a beautiful benefit of doing this men's work.
powerful. Yeah, I really like how you touched on how supported and accepted you feel
No.
by me, because that's literally the energy that we bring into all of our groups. And that's something that I say is like, let's meet each other where we're at.
Yep.
Let's take responsibility for our own emotional triggers and reactions, and let's all just have a little bit more love and compassion and acceptance for everyone, because that's what we all need. And that's literally fanning your flames,
Yep.
like my love and appreciation for you exactly as you are today, without trying to change or fix or judge, like that heals,
Yep.
and that's what we need. So I'm glad that you feel that, because that's definitely the sentiment we try to put out there.